Hello everybody, welcome to WhatCulture Gaming. I'm Scott, joined by Kirsten.
Hello!
Kirsten, I don't know if you're as psyched for Call of Duty this year as I am. I don't even know if I'm that psyched considering how much I'm playing Modern Warfare to this day. But we should talk about the leaked title for this year's Call of Duty. Now, they seem to be going back to the old school setting. The whole boots on the ground thing worked really well with last year's Modern Warfare. And the new title, as reported by Eurogamer, is Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. How does that grab you?
Yes, that grabs me a lot more than the Modern Warfare ones. I was always one that played like Call of Duty, I think it was 2. Oh, I can't even remember. Where it was about World War II. They were my favourite ones. All the ones that were like based in reality were a lot more enjoyable for me because it felt like I was getting like a little history lesson, and it just, I don't know, it was just a lot more. I like the proper old school ones where it's like really old. What's the word? Like
a realistic.
Yeah, like, and then you can tell like by their outfits, like it's really very historically accurate, and I just really enjoy that. So yeah, when I heard that there was going to be a Cold War one, I was like, oh, actually, this might be something that I might actually play for once, because yeah, it just got to the point where it was just getting a bit boring for me. They started sort of basing things on like current events or like even future events that could possibly happen. And yeah, it just wasn't that interesting to me. I like stuff that's, if it's going to be about a war, I want it to be about a war that I'm already kind of like have knowledge about, and I'm like, oh yes, yeah. I remember learning about this. Oh, this is interesting, you know. So yeah, this could be a good one actually.
That's the thing, because like yeah, Black Ops, like as a sort of like sub-series, like obviously the original one was set in I think like the 60s, and then obviously Cold War has a massive chunk of time they could pick from. But at the same time, like Black Ops 3 was like, did you play the more futuristic ones like Black Ops 3 and 4?
I played what's the Kevin Spacey one?
That is Advanced Warfare.
I played that
whole,
one.
Like,
that was the only one I played, and it was only because it had Kevin Spacey in it at the time, and I was just like, oh, this might be quite good. And it did have a decent storyline, but yeah, I don't think I completed it. I think I got halfway through, and then I started getting really bored. So yeah, that's the last probably new one that I played.
Okay, because they had that big push where they were like, we're going to go down the futuristic route, and it kind of felt like they were chasing Halo a little bit and chasing Titanfall a little bit, and then like obviously Black Ops 3, the story in that thing was all about like mind melding and dreamscapes and whatever, and then it was just weird. And then Black Ops 4 was like, well, we're going to chase Overwatch for a bit and do kind of like heroes and stuff like that. And then last year's Modern Warfare, like for me, is like the best Call of Duty ever. Like if you like the old school ones, I would totally recommend that.
Okay.
But it's like, yeah, it's kind of one of those things where because of the backlash to the more futuristic stuff, like I said, Advanced Warfare or Infinite Warfare was the one that was all in space, and everyone was like, what the hell are you guys doing? But I guess like as like you're like more of like an old school fan, like does this like that idea of going back to like sort of, I don't know, that time period between like, because the Cold War is like, I think I googled it before, it's like if you narrow it down, it's like 1947 to like 1991. So I guess anything in there, does that just seem like a more appealing time than anything more futuristic?
Yeah, I think so. Like, I mean, I'm all up for futuristic stuff, but just not as a Call of Duty franchise. I just, for me, Call of Duty just always seemed, it just was always about, you know, war. And when you think about war, you think about past wars. You don't think about, oh, let's base stuff on future wars, or even so far in the future that they're in space. It's just that's not appealing. So yeah, having something based in the Cold War, which I know some things about. I took history in school. I didn't pay that much attention, but I have some sort of basic knowledge on it. But what I love about games that are based on real events is that you have that knowledge, you know it happened, but you go in and it's almost like a little fun history lesson, so you can sit there and enjoy yourself, but then you're like, oh wow, this actually happened, oh that's horrible. And it's yeah, I don't know, it's not only fun to play, but it's interesting, and it's nice to have that history there. So yeah, so for me, like having something based on the Cold War is it's just more appealing to me than something that's like based in like space. I don't know. Just as a Call of Duty franchise, I don't understand why they kind of went down the whole futuristic. But I like you said, I think they were just trying to jump on the bandwagon as to what's popular at the time, and then thinking like, oh well, people like Overwatch, people like Titanfall, let's make ours kind of like that. And it's like, no, just stick to what you're good at and base it on actual wars that happen, because that's what people enjoy playing.
Yeah, it was like the weirdest deviation. Like, I have like a whole theory that I think, because the whole thing with like Titanfall was like that was made by I always get their names wrong, but I think is it Jason West and Vince Zampella, the guys that did Modern Warfare. Like obviously that game went huge, and then those two dudes left and partnered with EA, and they were going to do Titanfall. And I just kind of had this theory that like Activision saw that happening and then thought, oh god, that Titanfall is going to be the next big thing. That's going to be the next big Call of Duty. We need to have our own version of that.
Yeah.
And then they dovetailed off and made Call of Duty all futuristic, and all the Call of Duty fans went, what the hell are you guys doing? That's not at all what we want. And then it's taken this long for them to sort of realize like what Call of Duty is. For you being a big old history buff though, is there anything in terms of like the Cold War sort of time period that you think they could explore in terms of like conflicts or mentalities and stuff?
Like I said, I really don't remember that much. You're sending me back to history class now. No, I mean, I really don't remember too much about the Cold War, but I'm just hoping that they make it just dark, so that it just you want a sort of game when it's about something that is like a war that was just not good. It was just dark and dingy and just horrible things happen. You want to have that impact. I don't want to go in and sort of feel like I don't know, what I mean? You want to go in and you want to feel like, this is not good. I don't like this. I feel sorry for these people here. I feel sorry for what's going on. And you don't want to experience it, but at the same time, you have to trudge on because you need to know the story. Like, that's what they need to get right. They need to make sure it's dark and dingy and horrible, but still enticing enough that you need to kind of carry on. Or even if it's just to kind of think like, oh, this is the person that we need to kill because he's like torturing people or something like that, and you think even though I don't want to keep going, I have to, because I need to make sure that he is gone. I need to make sure that he just doesn't exist anymore. And that's what I hope that they just I don't want them to base it in the past but then still kind of have these futuristic aspects
like big
of like
stuff.
And I don't want it to just blow it out. I want it to just be, as soon as you go in, you're just like, this is not going to be a fun journey, but I'm going to do it anyway. At the end of the day, it's the Cold War. It's not supposed to be fun in a sense that you're just like, oh, look at me, look at the fun stuff I can do. It's supposed to be, yes, this is not a good time.
That's something that like a Call of Duty and Battlefield have sort of struggled with, like especially on Battlefield's case when they went back to World War One, and then they were doing like like DLC packs and like different advertising campaigns that were like, oh, if you pre-order you get like a free sort of mace, and it's like these things aren't meant to be like a fun like bonus piece of content. Like maybe treat it with a little bit more respect or whatever. And I don't know if you played the old Medal of Honor games, but I always thought that they sort of had more of like a feeling of respect towards the subject matter. And Call of Duty is sort of known for like being this big bombastic thing, and obviously the multiplayer. I think it was last year's Modern Warfare, one of the recent Call of Duties, where the developers were saying, look, like the multiplayer is like over here, that's one thing, and the story-based stuff is over here, and they you can have one tone over here, and the multiplayer can be as ridiculous as possible. I think it's because they were bringing the white phosphorus stuff back in, and it was like, if you get enough kill streaks, you can use white phosphorus. And it's one of those things where like you sort of gamify those elements, but if you're going back to like a serious time period, then that kind of could be or should be front and center. I guess another thing in terms of where Call of Duty is at is that they've been remastering a lot of their old stuff. Have you been like tempted to pick up any of the old ones, or is it kind of like just see whatever's next?
Yeah, I think now that we've been kind of like talking about Call of Duty a lot more, and there's been a lot of rumours and stuff going around, it has really been making me want to go back to like the old ones that I did enjoy, because they were just so good, and just experience that all over again. Because to be honest, I really don't remember that much, so it would be like a whole new experience to me all over again. But yeah, even if they like just remastered one of the old games like the World War II Call of Duty would be brilliant to just kind of have that impact, but just on like a HD remaster would be really, really, really enjoyable to play. But like you said, like going back to like Medal of Honor, I think that's why I enjoyed the old ones so much, is because Medal of Honor was like one of my favourite games to play, and it just stuck within that time period. And I think that's why I just enjoyed the older ones a lot more than the newer ones. So yeah, it would be quite interesting actually if they did like a remaster. I think having that on one of the newer consoles would be fantastic. Could you imagine the rocks and the mud and the rain and the triangles? No, it would be fantastic.
Well, it's like they've done, excuse me, Modern Warfare 1 and 2 remastered, and a lot of people thought that would lead into them doing a Black Ops remaster. But I think if they're doing Black Ops Cold War, which already is a weird name in terms of like a catch-all for all these key terms and stuff. But assumedly that means they're not then remastering the Black Ops campaign, unless they're going to tie that in. But like Black Ops is like a lot of people's favorite Call of Duty. It's my like favorite campaign and stuff. But I guess going forward, they're still sort of pushing in this new direction. One thing to sort of tag on is like a final question is, or like a final talking point, is that this is Treyarch returning to develop, and they just did Black Ops 4 2 years ago. There was a whole thing behind the scenes as to like the developers being shifted around, and they were asked to come back and make sure that Black Ops could work for this year. So there's like potential kind of cloud hanging over it as to how much time have they actually had to put this together. So I guess it's like we always talked about story stuff and tone stuff. But if this game does like Black Ops 4 and doesn't have a campaign and just goes multiplayer, well, that still hook you in if it's only multiplayer.
No, I don't think so. Not at all. I think that every single game should... I don't know. I've just always been one of those people that I like the story, I like the campaign, and I know there's some people that they just only want to play games that are multiplayer, they only want to play games that are online, but I've just never really been interested in that. It's always been, no, I want a good story, I want a good campaign, and that's what I think they should focus on. And then, like you said, if they want to also add a quirky, stupid, funky multiplayer option to that, where you can do stupid stuff, that's fine, but just have that as a side piece. Don't make that the main appeal. But I don't know, maybe I'm one of the rare few that enjoys a campaign. Maybe at the moment the big thing is just it has to be online, it has to be multiplayer. But no, it's never been an appeal to me. It's got to be campaign and story first.
Same. I mean, I'm curious like how they go forward. Like Black Ops 4, like I said, didn't launch with a campaign. It had this weird training mode that had cutscenes, and it was like, oh, that's kind of a story, but not really. And then Modern Warfare's campaign was only a few hours long. So we can hand it over down to the comments. Are you excited for the idea or the return of a Black Ops campaign in general and a Black Ops Call of Duty in general? And what kind of form do you want to see that taking? Do you want to have it more story-based or multiplayer-based or whatever? For now, I've been Scott from WhatCulture.com.
And I have been Kirsten from WhatCulture.com.
I'll catch you next time. Bye.
Bye.